A couple times in Chapter 2 so far, we've had to fill out these big tables. We've had to find all these midpoints, right? And then we also had to fill out all these decimals with relative frequency and the cumulative relative frequency. And there's got to be a better way, especially because if this is a really big number, which it is, for example, for one of the worksheets, then this can be really sketchy, right? You can make mistakes really easily, and you want to have it done perfectly. All right, so I can show you a program that will do this for you, that will make this easier for you. Again, this is not required. You don't have to do this. You don't have to watch this video. But if you want to make it so these tables go pretty quick, quicker than sitting there and doing it with a calculator, then I'm here to help. All right, so what we're going to use is a spreadsheet program. I'm actually going to use Google Spreadsheet, but it's the same as Excel. So if you have Excel, then you can do the same thing I'm doing here in Excel because they work the same way, at least for what I'm doing. I'll make the link to this spreadsheet available in the description for this video. And then what you'll have to do is either make a copy if you're logged into a Google account, then you can have your own Google spreadsheet and follow along, or you can download it as an Excel document, right? Whichever way makes you happy. Okay, so we saw in the notes that when we wanted to find the midpoint, what we had to do is add up consecutive lower class limits and divide by 2. Well, it's the same thing here. It's just that you have to type the symbol equals. So you type equals sign, which cues to the spreadsheet program that, hey, I'm about to type a formula. And so you take 40 plus 50, you close your parentheses, and divide by 2. I'm typing the same thing that I typed into Desmos to find this value, right? That's what it is. And there we have it, it's 45. Now, I could keep going like that, right? I could keep, adding or the next values and dividing by 2, adding the next values divided by 2. But at some point you run out of real estate because we have open-ended classes here at the beginning and here at the end. Not so good. All right, so what I want to use is the width. So I want to take that 45 and I want to add 10 to it. Now the way you do this, you can just type 45 plus 10, right? 45 plus 10. Boom, it knows, right? But you could also be even more crafty about this. If I type equals, and a spreadsheet program works like the game Battleship, right? So column B is this column that I'm in. Row 3 is where the 45 is sitting. So if I click on that, it'll say B3, which is standing for location that is in column B, row 3, which is the 45. You can see it's telling me the number is 45. And then I just add 10 to it. There we go, 55. And then what you can do, if you click on the cell with the 55 and you let your cursor go to this bottom right corner, there's that little box down there in the corner, and your cursor turns into a plus sign. And then you can click and drag it down and lift up, and there you have all of them filled out. And then this one up here would be 45 take away 10. Or if you like, you could type equals B3 take away 10. And there's that one. All right, the midpoints are done, and it was pretty quick. All right, now what about the relative frequencies? Well, to find the relative frequencies, I need to find the sum of all these columns. So I need the total down here. And the total is a command in Excel and in StatCrunch, or not, sorry, it's not StatCrunch, Google Spreadsheet. It's actually listed in the functions over here, right? You can just grab it, it's sum. But you can also just type it, equals sum. It even knows what I want to do, look. Google Spreadsheet's very smart. It figured out what a lot of people want. So if it is what you want, you can just hit the tab key, tab to accept, boop, and there it is. But you could also just type it. It's sum C2 colon C8. You're telling it to find the sum of all the numbers between C2, which is the 5, all the way down to C8, which is the 34. Enter. So it's done that fast. All right, now here's where the fun begins. So what I want to do is I want to have the relative frequency. So I want to tell it, hey, take this 5 and divide it by 165. And look, Google Spreadsheet knew what I wanted to do. Look at that. So it's filling in all the values for me. And if I want to accept that autofill, I just hit the check mark, and there they are. Now the other way to do it is to say, hey, equals C2, click on that guy, divided by 165, enter, and then you click on that cell, because I don't know if Excel will automatically fill those for you. So if you're in Excel, you might have to do the handle thing, where you let your cursor turn into that plus sign in the bottom right corner and then click and drag. There you go. And then I can drag that sum formula over. I can click on the 165, drag that to the right, and sure enough, it is 1. Now, I don't like that it has this many decimal places. Ugh, right? I mean, we wanted 3 decimal places to fill into the table. But that's what this little icon up here is. It's got a 0 with a decimal point. It has an arrow pointing to the left. So if you click on that and just keep clicking until you get to 3 decimal places, there you go. And it's doing the rounding, by the way. So if I looked here, 485, when I make it go down, oh no, it didn't. But that's because it was really 4848. Got it. I have to go more decimals. Okay, so if you look, 4848 would round to 048. 0969, that 9 would round that 6 up to a 7. So when I hit this button, see, it's doing rounding for me. So it rounded them all perfectly. Hooray, lovely. Okay, so that's done. Oop, gotta make that smaller. All right, so now the cumulative frequency. So the cumulative frequency is, well, the first one's 5, so that's really easy. Oop, and I don't want that. So I'm going to click, oh, I don't know if you saw that, but I didn't want that autofill. So sometimes Google Spreadsheet's too smart for its own good, so I hit the little X and said, no, that's not what I want. So I want this 5, and honestly, you could just type 5. 5. There you go. No, don't need to be fancy. Now for this one, what I want is that 5 that I just had plus the 8 that's over here. Enter. Now I want that 13 plus the 16 that's over here. Enter. Now I want, and it's knowing what I want. If you look, it's highlighting. Orange is the E4, purple is the C5. It's highlighting what it thinks I want, and that is what I want. So I pressed enter and it's got it. And then, oh, it's doing it again. Yep, that's what I want. Yes, that's what I want. So I just, Google Spreadsheet's so smart. But again, if you're in Excel and it's not doing this for you, you can just type it. You want this 131 plus that 34, enter. And there you have it. Your cumulative frequency is done. And it's accurate, right? We can tell the 165 here matches the 165 here. Now for the cumulative relative frequency, I'm actually just going to do the same thing I did earlier. Take 5, divide it by 165. So I'm going to use that cell for E2, because if I do that, then it'll fill all of them in. Oh, and there it is. So in Google Spreadsheet, it knows what I want to do, and if I want to accept that, I'll click the little check mark and that'll take it. And if I don't want it, I'll hit the little X. But I do, so I'm going to hit the check mark, and there you have it. Again, you could also just drag it down. Same thing. I don't want that bottom cell, so I'm going to delete that out. We don't need that. And then I don't want all these decimal places, so I'm going to highlight all of those, and I'm going to make them, I'm going to click this decrease decimal place, and it does all the rounding for me, and there we have it. Now there are fancier ways to do these formulas, but this is the quickest way to get you through. And you don't have to use cell references all the time. I mean, you can use the spreadsheet program as a glorified typewriter, right? It can be done that way if you want. But the thing about this spreadsheet program is it's doing everything accurately. It's doing all the rounding for you and all that good stuff. And then everything will be perfectly correct, and you won't have to worry about, did you do this wrong? Did you divide that wrong? It all takes care of it for you.